So before we start, I just want to give you a clear, brief meaning of ethics, an understanding about ethics. So what does it mean when we talk of ethics? So in general, when we talk of ethics, we refer to the principles or standards that guides the individuals and organizations in determining what is wrong or right, or in determining what is right or wrong. Or in short, we can say the ethics are the principles that guide an individual's behavior. So when we talk of accounting, in accounting, when we talk of ethics, we refer to the moral principles and the values that governs the behavior of accountants and all accounting professionals in their practices. In accounting, when we talk of ethics, we refer to moral principles and values that governs the behavior of accountants and accounting professionals in their practices. So in accounting, when we talk of ethics, that means we talk of, we can have an example of integrity. That means the accountants must ensure that financial reports accurately reflect the true financial position of an organization. So what does it mean when we say accurately reflect the true financial position of an organization? We are talking of the true financial position. Let's say the company is making losses. So the financial reports must show that the company is making losses without manipulation of accounts, without giving false data about the company. And also, when we talk of ethics in accounting, another example can be transparency. So the ethical accountants must make sure that they ensure transparency in their workplace, they ensure transparency when they are making their financial statement, and make sure that the financial statements that they are making is understandable and it is representing a truthful fact about the company to the stakeholders. So in accounting, when we talk of stakeholders, we talk of other people who are surrounding your business. So for example, at DMI here, when we talk of stakeholders, we talk of our customers. When we talk of stakeholders, we talk of our students. Those are our stakeholders. We talk of their parents. How do they perceive the company that they are trusting their students with? And also another example of ethics in accounting, we talk of compliance with rules and regulations, or compliance with rules and regulations. So when we talk of ethics in accounting, we talk of the accountants must adhere in all relevant accounting rules, regulations, standards. So in Malawi, we follow the international financial reporting standards. So these are the guidelines that guide the accountants on how to prepare their financial statements. And in Malawi, we also follow the GAAP. So what do we mean when we say GAAP? We mean to say, when we talk of GAAP, we talk of the general accepted accounting principles. So if the company is failing to follow the principles or these standards, that means it can damage the reputation of the company, it can damage the reputation of the organization that one is working in. And on the other hand, we have corporate governance. What does it mean when we talk of corporate governance? So in short, corporate governance involves the systems, principles, and processes by which the company is directed and controlled. When we talk of corporate governance, we talk of the systems, we talk of the principles and the processes which a company is directed and controlled. So when we talk of corporate governance, we talk of the things that ensures the accountability and the fairness in the corporation's relationship with the others.
Yeah, your PowerPoint is not some screen, miss. Still not some.
Hello, are you speaking?
Yeah, maybe you can share your PowerPoint, please.
So, corporate governance involves the systems, principles, and processes by which companies
No, good morning.
Hello.
Yeah, maybe you can share in your PowerPoint, please, or you can share in the Zoom chat. From our side, we will help with the share screen of your PowerPoint.
Is it okay?
Still no.
So I was saying corporate governance involves the systems, principles, and processes by which a company is directed and controlled. So I was saying corporate governance ensures the accountability among the organizations and its relationships with its stakeholders. So when we talk of stakeholders, we talk of the customers, the employees, and other related parties to that organization. On the slide number 2, we have the roles of these ethics in financial accounting, in financial decision making. The roles of ethics in financial decision making. So the first role we have integrity and transparency. The first role of ethics in financial decision making we have it promotes integrity and transparency. So ethical decision making ensures honesty and openness in financial transactions. That means when you are making transactions, you have to make sure that the transactions that you have recorded in your financial statements are representing the honest picture about your financial position of the company. So transparency will build trust among stakeholders. So when we talk of stakeholders, I said to say the stakeholders can be the investors, those that are investing in your business. The stakeholders can be the employees and the client. So it ensures that financial information is reported accurately. So another role of ethics in financial decision making, we have compliance with the laws and the regulations. So the ethics in accounting, they will ensure that there is compliance in compliance with laws and regulations. So ethical financial decisions will align with the frameworks, including corporate governance standards and financial regulations. So by following these rules, companies avoid legal penalties, reputational damages, and also financial losses, because when you are complying with the rules and the regulations that governs the organization's activities, that means you make sure that you avoid the legal penalties. That means you not misappropriate the cash, you not mismanage the funds of the organization. And also another factor we have, another role we have, protects shareholders' interest. It protects shareholders' interest. So ethical decision making considers the welfare of both. When we talk of the shareholders, we talk of the owners of the company, and we talk of the stakeholders, we talk of the customers, we talk of the corporate social responsibility. So ensuring that financial decisions do not unfair benefit one party at the expense of the other. So for example, we can mention to say, let's say you are working in an organization, but you only consider about making profits of that organization, forgetting the welfare of your employees. That means there will be a conflict of interest among the shareholders, among the customers, and among the employees. And also, another role of ethics in financial decision making, we say it encourages long-term sustainability. It encourages long-term sustainability. So making ethical financial decisions promote the long-term health of an organization. So instead of focusing on short-term goals, instead of focusing on short-term gains of the organization, you are ensured to say you plan for the future. So you plan for the corporate social responsibility. You understand that you are performing your business where you are supported by the community that surround that business. So you make sure that people, the community that surrounds your business are also benefiting from your business. And another slide, we have the importance of ethics in corporate governance. importances of ethics in corporate governance. So the first importance of ethics, the first importance of ethics in corporate governance, we have promotion of accountability and transparency. So ethical governance fosters a culture of transparency where the decision-making process is clear. When you follow the ethical standards in your reporting system, you make sure that you enforce the transparency among the stakeholders, among the shareholders. So this will make sure to say that in your financial statements, you provide clear financial statements to stakeholders, and that if anything happens, financial statements that you are presenting, the management can be held accountable for the actions. And this will reduce corruption and mismanagement of cash. And another importance of ethics in corporate governance, we have it enhances trust and reputation. It enhances trust and reputation. So companies that adhere to okay, excuse me. So another importance is that protecting stakeholders' interest. On this one, I explained to say the ethical governance ensures that the rights and the interest of stakeholders are respected. Or we can say the rights and respect of shareholders are respected. So this includes fair treatment of employees, responsible environment practices, and the protection of shareholders' investments. And also we have compliance with legal and regulatory standards. So the ethics in accounting will help, the ethical behavior will ensure that companies comply with legal and regulatory requirements, reducing the risk of legal dispute, fines, and that could harm the financial reputation of the organization. And on another slide, we have the ethical challenges in corporate governance. What are the challenges when we are not following the ethics in corporate governance? So the first challenge we have the conflict of interest. So on the conflict of interest, we say it arises when the individual or organization has competing interests that could affect their decision-making, actions, and responsibilities, prioritizing personal gain over the company's stakeholders. So for example, we can say a board member might approve a contract that benefits the company because they have the stake in that contract. So for example, let's say we are doing business. Maybe there's a contract that someone must produce the product and be giving it to the organization. So, you know, because one of your family members is producing the same products, but not of the quality that can promote the organization growth. Then, because you are the manager, you are approving the contract for that person because he is your family member, so that when the company is making money, more money should go to your family member. So that means that is the conflict of interest. You are only trying to promote your brother's business, by not considering the welfare of the organization. So that's it, conflict of interest. And another one we have lack of transparency. So lack of transparency, it's like the information may be withheld or mispresented to shareholders. Maybe hiding critical information from shareholders, employees, regulators, undermining trust and accountability of those people. So for example, let's say the companies maybe is undergoing financial crisis. So you are failing to disclose that information to the investors, thinking maybe you are afraid to say, maybe if we disclose that the company is not making profits, the investors will stop investing in our business. So that's what we say, it can bring lack of trust among the stakeholders. And also we talk of body independence. So board members may be too closely aligned with management, compromising. Okay, just hold on.
Trying to be on the screen now. That's what we need, please. All right. Now Josephine will continue to present, and Novita will soon dim the screen from STEKOM. Yeah, so Josephine will continue from where she stopped. Over to you, Josephine. Please carry on.
Thank you so much, sir. So as I was I'm sorry for the interruptions. As I was saying, my topic is on ethics in accounting and corporate responsibility. So the first slide was on introduction. So I explained about ethics in accounting. I explained about the term ethics in general. So the term ethics in general, I said it refers to the principles, standards, and guides that guide individuals or organizations in determining what is right or wrong. And also, when we talk of ethics in accounting, we talk of the moral principles and values that govern the behavior of accountants and accounting professionals in their practices. And also, I explained about corporate governance. So when we talk of corporate governance, we talk of the systems, principles, and processes by which a company is directed and controlled. So why ethics in accounting? Why corporate governance? So these two, they ensure the accountability and fairness in the corporation's relation with its stakeholders. So in accounting, when we talk of stakeholders, we talk of the environment in which the company is surrounded with. So for example, when we talk of stakeholders, we can talk of the investors. Stakeholders, we can talk of the employees. Stakeholders, we can talk of the community that has surrounded the organization. And also in accounting, we can talk of the shareholders. When we talk of shareholders, we talk of the owners of the company. So the shareholders can be the management of that company and the other related, the other people who are inside the company. So about ethics in accounting, I also mentioned of the roles of ethics in accounting in financial decision. So slide number 3. So the first role I mentioned of integrity and transparency. So what do we mean when we say integrity and transparency? So when we talk of integrity and transparency, we talk of that ethical governance fosters a culture of transparency where the decision-making processes is clear. So what do we mean? We mean that when you are making the financial statements, we have to make sure that the financial statements will not make the people, the users of that financial information, to ask questions like, why is it written like that? So the financial statements must be clear, and the stakeholders can hold the management accountable for their action. If you are not providing a clear financial statement, that means you make the stakeholders to question about the financial position of that company that you are working on. And we also talked about We also talked about prevent fraud and corruption. So when you adhere to ethical standards, you reduce the risk of fraudulent activities. So what is this fraudulent activities? We talk of mismanagement of cash, misrepresentation of financial statements. So for example, maybe the accountants may be afraid to present the true financial position of the business. So they can misrepresent the financial position of the business. Maybe if the company is making losses, they can make it as if the company is making profits, with the fear of losing the investors, to say, if I present as if we are making losses, that means the investors will not invest in our company. And also we talked of it ensures the compliance with the rules and the regulations. So I said to say in Malawi, the accounting body follows the two rules, the two principles and standards. So the first principle that we follow is the IFRS. We talk of International Financial Reporting Standards. So accountants should adhere to these relevant accounting rules and regulations. And also we have GAAP, which stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. So if we fail to follow these rules and regulations in our reporting system, that means we can damage the trust that our investors have in our business. We can damage the trust that our employees have in our business. And also another role of ethics in corporate accounting, we mentioned transparency. So ethical accountants must ensure transparency in their workplace, making the financial statements clear, understandable, truthful, and hiding debts or overstating profits is an example of unethical behavior in accounting. And let's go to slide number 4, which we have the importances of ethics in corporate accounting, in corporate governance. So on the importances of ethics in corporate governance, these are the same things we say. The ethics in corporate governance, they promote accountability and transparency. And also they enhance trust and reputation. And also they promote shareholders' interest. So when we talk of shareholders and stakeholders' interest, we talk of let's say if we have a company, the stakeholders are the customers, the employees, and other investors. So if you are only focusing on those people, disregarding the needs of the owners of the company, that means the owners of the company will not put much effort in that organization. So the goals of that organization may not be achieved. And also it goes both ways. If we are only focusing on the shareholders, disregarding the stakeholders, that means the stakeholders will lose interest in that business and the business will not achieve its objectives. And another importance of ethics in corporate governance is that compliance with the rules and the regulation, or compliance with the rules and the regulatory standards. And also it enhances long-term sustainability of the business. Why? Because people have trust in that business, so they will continue promoting that business. And on slide number 4, we have ethical challenges in corporate governance. Ethical challenges in corporate governance. So what are these challenges? So when we talk of ethical challenges, we talk of the challenges that are there, that are present when people, when the accountants are not ethical, or when the accountants are unethical. So what are these challenges? We talk of conflict of interest. So what is conflict of interest? So a conflict of interest may arise when an individual or organization has competing interest that could affect the decision making, that could affect the actions or the responsibilities of the company. For example, you can say, maybe a manager may be prioritizing the personal gains over the company's interest. So I gave an example to say, let's say I'm working in an organization. So just because I'm a manager, I may approve a contract that will be one of my family members. Despite that, maybe one of my family members is producing products that are not benefit. But just because I want to gain something from the contract that the company is offering, I'm approving that one because I just want to gain the money that the company may be offering on the products that are on the market. So that's a conflict of interest. That means you as a manager, you gain, but you are disregarding the objectives of the organization. And another one I said about lack of trust. So when we talk of lack of trust, it's that means the accountant may be hiding critical information from shareholders. They may be hiding critical information from employees, or they may be hiding critical information from the regulators. So this will undermine the trust and the accountability that the shareholders, the employees, and the other regulators have on that company. So for example, of lack of trust, we can say a company may fail to disclose the financial difficulties of that company. For example, let's say we can talk of, say, the company is making losses. So with the fear of losing the investors, the company may manipulate the data, the financial data, to say we are making profits, so that they still gain the trust of investors. They are afraid to say, if we say we are not making profits, the investors will not come to our company to support us. And another challenge is that we have insider trading. We have insider trading. So what does it mean when we talk of insider trading? So when we talk of the issue of insider trading, it's when individuals of the company use confidential information to manipulate the activities of that company, so that they should benefit at the expense of other investors. So for example, let's say you are working, let's say in the bank sector, then you have your relatives too. Then you know that the stocks now are at the from that office, so that they should buy more bonds from that office, and you are forgetting about other investors. So what is an ethical issue here? So this one will give the unfair advantage, and it can violate the market fairness principle. So remember, we said in accounting, we follow the principles, we follow the accounting principles, we follow the accounting standards. And also on the other challenge on ethical corporate social responsibilities, that ignoring corporate social responsibility. So what do we mean when we say corporate social responsibility? So for the company to function well, that means the company is based in a certain community. So in every activity of that community, make sure that you are benefiting the community that surrounds your company. If you are not benefiting the community that surrounds your company, it can lead to profit minimization, because people will not buy from you. So companies may neglect their social and environmental responsibility just because they want to maximize their profits. They are forgetting about the needs of the community. So for example, you have a company in that community. You have to make sure that you provide a conducive environment for those people who are living in that community. So what is an ethical issue here? So if you are focusing only on short-term profit, this can lead to negative long-term impact on the society and the environment. So for example, we can talk of a corporation ignoring environmental regulations to reduce costs. And another challenge we have fraud and misreporting. Fraud and misreporting. So I talked about manipulation of financial reports to present a more favorable image of the company. You are hiding if your company is making the losses. You are hiding if the company is prone to risks and uncertainties, so that you are afraid to say, if I disclose that our company is going through financial crisis, I might lose the investors. So this will lead to misleading investors. This may lead to misleading the regulators, and the public can result in financial losses and reputational damage. On slide number 6, we have solutions to these ethical challenges. We have solutions to these ethical challenges. So what can be the solution to the ethical challenges that I mentioned in the slide number 5? So the first solution we are talking of establishing clear ethical guidelines. You have to establish clear ethical guidelines to everyone. So you must develop a code of ethics that will outline acceptable behavior at that organization that you are working in. And you must put in the procedures for reporting violation. And also, you must report the unethical results or actions. So this will create a transparent culture where expectations are clear. Everyone has the same expectations, or everyone has the same goals as the organization's goal. So, for example, you can implement a code that addresses the conflict of interest. You can implement a code that addresses bribery or transparency in financial data. And another solution to the ethical challenges, we can talk of promotion of ethical leadership. So if you are a leader in a certain company, you must demonstrate an ethical behavior in everything that you are doing. So you must set as an example for the organization. So a leader must set an example. A leader must not have conflict of interest to say, just because I'm a leader, that means everything that happens in that organization must first reach me before it reaches the other subordinates. And for example, you can ensure that the executives adhere to the same ethical standards that are expected of employees. If you are expecting your employees to follow the same standards, then the manager should also follow the same standards. And also another solution we have, implementing strong corporate governance. So you should establish strong governance structure with checks and balances, such as you have to have an independent body that looks over what the accountant has prepared. And you must have an audit committee, so that when accountants have produced their financial statements, the auditors must come and check and review what they have presented, depending on the financial position of that business. So this will help to ensure that the decisions are made transparently and in the best interest of all stakeholders. And another solution is that you ensure transparency and accountability. So you maintain transparent financial reporting and regular disclosures to adhere to local and international standards. So on every organization, we have the standards that the accountants must follow. So when they are following the local standards, they must make sure that they're also following the international standards. So on international standards, I mentioned of international financial reporting standards. These cannot be changed, and generally accepted accounting principles. So these ones cannot be changed, because for you to produce a conducive financial report, that means you have to follow those principles that were set to guide the accountants on financial reporting. And on slide number 7, we have a case study. So this one, I just did a research on what happened in Malawi, a case from Malawi. What happens if we are not following the ethical accounting or corporate governance? What will happen? So I found a case of Malawi Savings Bank. I found a case of Malawi Savings Bank. So Malawi Savings Bank, I think those that are following from Malawi, they know that it was a once government-owned institution. So this bank faced ethical challenges related to financial mismanagement and governance issues, which led to the closure or privatization in 2015. So the bank was sold from the government, it was sold to the private individuals. Now, Malawi Standard Bank it has changed to FDH Bank. So the bank had provided loans to several people, individuals that are politically connected, and some which were non-performing, causing severe strain on the financial health of the bank. So on the slide number 8, we have what were the ethical and governance issues that were there that made the closure of Malawi Savings Bank. So the first ethical thing that happened, it was that in a case of involving Malawi Savings Bank, some key ethical challenges could include there was a conflict of interest. How? So the senior management could have personal financial interest that conflict with the bank's goal. So the bank's goal is to make money. That means the senior management team, they had their own interest on the bank's performance, neglecting the bank's goals. So this one, they influenced decision making for personal gain instead of institutions' welfare. They only focused on their personal gain. By recognizing the person to say, I will give loan to this person because he is known in the country, forgetting about the procedures that are followed when giving out loans. And another challenge issue here that was that led to the closure of Malawi Savings Bank was lack of transparency. So Malawi Savings Bank lacked a clear and transparent financial reporting, leading to suspicion of suspicious of fraud and mismanagement of cash. Ensuring open communication about financial practice as a critical building trust within stakeholders. There was no trust. Because for someone to obtain a loan from the bank, that means you have to show what you have. So that when you are failing to repay the loan, the bank should have something to hold for you. And also, we can talk of the issue of corporate governance failure. So there was poor oversight from the body. This resulted to unethical practices going unchecked, such as misallocation of funds, insider trading, and unauthorized transaction. And also, we can mention of customers' confidentiality. So, what happened in Malawi Savings Bank? It breached the customer's trust. It breached the customer's data, such as they were unauthorizing access to personal or financial information that could harm the reputation and violate the ethical standards and the privacy of Malawi Savings Bank. So on slide number 9, we have the lessons. What are the lessons that we have learned from what happened to Malawi Savings Bank? So the first lesson is that we have governance and political interference. They allowed their governance to be interfered by the political people. So Malawi Savings Bank struggles to highlight the risk of political interference in the operations of a state-owned bank. Proper governance structure, clear policies are crucial for effective functioning of financial institutions. So when you are dealing with accounting, you don't allow any person to interfere to your judgment, because when you are preparing financial statements, you know the principles that you have to follow. So if you forget the principles or standards that you have to follow when you are making your financial statement, and you allow someone that doesn't know on how to prepare the financial statements to interfere in your activities, that means it can lead to misrepresentation of cash. And also another challenge that this bank faced is risk management. So NBS Bank, Malawi Savings Bank faced significant loss due to poor credit risk management, as it issued many non-performing loans to politically connected individuals. So this underscores the importance of strong risk management framework in a lending institution. And also another one we have, the other challenge is that it had an impact on public confidence. So when you are putting your money in a certain bank, that means you have confidence with that bank. So the challenge faced by Malawi Savings Bank affected the public confidence in the banking system. So when we are making let's say the deposits into any bank or into any financial institution, you follow the proper financial disciplines. So if there is no proper financial discipline, the public might lose their confidence in that financial institution. And the last slide we have the conclusion. So what can we conclude from what happened to Malawi Savings Bank? So the case of Malawi Savings Bank, it illustrates the critical role of ethics in accounting and corporate governance by ensuring financial stability and public trust. So the failure to uphold ethical standards and corporate governance principles in Malawi Savings Bank contributed to its collapse, emphasizing the need for more enforcement and ethical practices in so the inconveniences that were there. But if you have questions, I'm here. Ask me any question.
Okay, thank you. And for our participant, if you have any question for the speaker, please add them to the chat or you can raise your hand. Okay, for first question, we have question is from participant already chat in the Zoom chat.
Can you resend the question, Abdul?
I will read it. Yes, from
Abdul.
question. Yeah, partner. Yeah, for question from Mr. Abdul. What are some of the biggest ethical challenges that accountant and corporate leaders face today? And how can strong corporate governance practice help prevent unethical behavior like fraud or manipulation of financial statement? Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Abdul, what you said? What are the major challenges that are faced by? Listen to the question. Okay, so Pauline has asked in terms of corporate governance. Pauline, resend the question, I can't find it.
Novita, would you repeat the question, please? She did not get it clearly. Would you repeat the question, Novita?
Okay, sir. Yeah, from Mr. Abdul. What are some of the biggest ethical challenges that accountant and corporate leaders face today? And how can strong corporate governance practice help prevent unethical behavior like fraud or manipulation of financial statements? That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so on the key challenges, I mentioned of conflict of interest. So when we talk of conflict of interest, this conflict of interest, when it arises when one individual has a competing interest that could affect their decision-making, actions, responsibilities, only prioritizing the personal gain over the company's or stakeholders' interest. So the main challenge here is that when you have conflict of interest, you only look at what gain, what is it that I'm going to gain from this company, despite the company has its own objectives. You only look at your own objectives to make money from the company. You disregard the company's objectives and goals. I think, and also I mentioned of lack of trust. So when you are, let's say you are hiding critical information from stakeholders, you are people, the stakeholders or employees or investors, they lose trust in that company. For example, you are doing business, but you are failing to present the financial position of the business. Let's say in your balance sheet, you are presenting as if the business is making a lot of profits, but you are forgetting to deduct depreciation from that balance sheet. That means in your books of accounts, it can show as if the company is making more profits, but in real sense, the company is not making profits. So this one, it's like you are doing that because you are just afraid. You are just doing that to misrepresent the true financial position of the business so that you don't lose the investors. So if you are representing like that one, what if the investors know to say in that company they are not making profits, but they are just misrepresenting the financial statement? That means if they know on their own, it will make you as an organization to lose trust in that business. It will make you as an employee to lose trust in that business. And also shareholders might lose trust in that business because you have failed to disclose financial difficulties. So if you disclose the financial difficulties of the company, that means other people can help you with other financial decision or solution, so that you come up with proper decisions on how to improve and make the objectives of that company to come true.
Okay, thank you. And then the second question, in terms of corporate governance, how can company ensure accountability and transparency in their financial reporting? Are there specific ethical guidelines or practices that companies should follow to build trust with, with investor and the public? this question from Miss Paulina. Thank you.
Okay, so I was saying maybe if she can just send a message, she can just send it to my chat.
I think they are asking for how can you promote transparency and accountability and balance up with the ethics. I think that's basically the root question.
Okay, so in accounting, okay. Okay, Doc, I have understood now. So in accounting, when I was presenting, I mentioned of the accounting standards. And I also mentioned of accounting principles to say, in accounting, we have one language. If you miss that language, that means everything that you are preparing cannot present a true fair of that company. So you can only promote transparency in accounting if you are following the accounting standards that were put in place by the accounting board that that country is following. So I mentioned of an example to say in Malawi, we follow international financial reporting standards. So when we are making the accounting statements, we follow those standards, those principles. So we have ongoing principles. What does it say? It says to say, if you have a company, you have to make sure that the people that are working in that company, they know the future of that business. So that is the principle. That means, how do you know to say this is company follows an ongoing principle? We look at the long-term assets that the company has. For example, can mention of the DMI that we are working in. We know to say in the near future, we'll still have DMI by looking at their infrastructure. They have invested more in the buildings, in the long-term assets. We look, they have their own buses, they have their own campuses, they have their own long-term assets like land, they have their own premises. So that means when we are reporting about the long-term assets about the institution, we know to say DMI will be there for a future, for a long period of time because of the investment in the long-term assets. And also in accounting, I also mentioned to say they follow the general accepted accounting principles. So what are these principles? These principles will guide the accountants on how to ensure transparency and accountability by following the terms and conditions that were put in place by those bodies. So by following those regulations, rules and regulations, you ensure that you are making the transparent accounting information, and also that the person who is preparing those financial statements will be accountable for what he has presented to the general public. I hope I have answered your question, Pauline.
Thank you for answering. I think it's very clear answer from Professor. And I guess no one else asking again, Miss. Okay, before I close this event, for our participant, please open your camera. I will take a picture on the count 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one, 1, 2. Thank you for your interpretation. Finally, we come to the end of this lecture today. We would like to thank you for Miss Josephine Chinoko for the wonderful information and sharing your knowledge. We hope this information will be beneficial for our participants. At least we hope to have more collaboration in the future with DMI St, the Baptist University, Malawi. The visiting lecture for today and the appreciation. Thank you and have a nice day. Thank you so much, Miss. Bye.